Hello, my name is Brynna Mollahan and I am the small metal studio coordinator here at ESSA. I also happen to be the artist in residence currently, and I've lived in Eureka about 2.5 years, moved here from New Orleans. I got hooked up with ESSA through Kelly and my friend Katrina, and I love it here. I can't imagine being anywhere else. And today I'm going to walk you through this mountain range pendant right here, step by step. And so what we'll start with is by putting your goggles or safety glasses on, and I'm going to finish sawing out my patterns for the range, which we will then solder. I'll be using 20 gauge copper and also 20 gauge brass for the second layer of the range. And I drew this up, the double layers for my own personal use, but obviously since it's a mountain range, you can go with whatever design you prefer. And then I also have this nifty hole punch from Hobby Lobby, I believe, or Michael's. And that's what I'll be doing instead of drilling for the holes for the chain and the jump rings. And yes, now we'll begin hand sawing, and then I'll move to soldering afterwards. Now that we've punched the holes in the metal, I'm going to anneal it, which is heating it with the torch to make the metal more malleable. And we want it to heat up until it is bright red. That's to the point of anneal. Move on to brass. Quench. And then into the pickle pot, the acid to clean. Annealing is when we bring the metal up in temperature and it expands the particles of the metal to make it more malleable and pliable. So when you're working with it, as you work the metal, it hardens back up. So anytime that you want to rework into a piece of metal, you want to anneal, just bringing the metal up to a certain temperature with the torch. And then, like, say if you're hammering it, then it'll slowly start to harden again. So when you want it to again be malleable, you go back to the annealing. And then you always want to quench for safety purposes. You always want to wear glasses or goggles. And the pickle pot is a crock pot that is full of particular chemicals that clean the fire scale from the torch off of the metal. And so it only needs to be in there, copper only needs to be in there a minute or two, and then you should be able to just wipe all of the fire scale, the black stuff off of it. And now I'm going to, it comes out of the pickle pot, but the pickling solution is not great for your skin, So then you want to, I already did this part, you want to rinse it in water. This is water and baking soda mix. And then I'm going to go to the sink and just scrub off the rest of the fire scale that has not been removed. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of dish soap on this toothbrush and scrub these babies. And you can kind of tell that they've been annealed by how like kind of soft looking they look. And if I wanted to, I could just bend this in half right now. Now that they're clean and annealed, I'm going to make sure that they are flat because we are going to sweat solder them together, which is a process where you put the solder in between the two pieces and heat it up together like that, and then the solder will flow in between them, and that secures them together. But I need to make sure that they're both flat and flush with one another, so that way we'll have a nice seam. I'm going to use the rolling mill first, and kind of what it does is it puts pressure. You can stretch metal this way or make it thinner gauged if you wanted to, but all we want to do is try and make sure we can get it as flat as possible, and then I'll go in with the hammer. So, a bit tighter. You don't want it too tight because we're not trying to make the metal thinner. You really, if you have long hair, want to make sure it's not in the way. Go. It's pretty flat. Wonderful. You want your pieces also to be absolutely bone dry. You never want them to be wet in this tool. All right. That one looks a little bowed, so I'm going to go in with the hammer, and the corners on this could be flattened a bit. So we'll do that, but that greatly helped us. So we'll just move right here to this black. Now we're going to go back and really scrub the two pieces. We don't want, solder doesn't flow on dirty metal, so we want to make sure there's no fingerprints, no particles from the hammer, nothing. We want them to be as clean as we can get them. So I'm going to get a fresh paper towel. And we're going to scrub them and then solder. Now that we've cleaned the pieces and they are ready to be fired and soldered, I'm going to cover the piece with flux, handy flux, which helps the solder flow, melt, and also protects the metal from too much fire scale. So put that on, and again you want to keep your fingers off the top of the surface. And we really want the solder to be placed towards the bottom of the piece. I'm not worried about the overlapping mountain ranges being soldered together. I'm more worried that the base is soldered together. So I've cut myself some hard silver solder, and basically kind of what it is like glue for the metal. I'm going to use hard because I want it to be, it flows at a higher temperature than medium or easy soft solder. I really want to make sure that my connection is good and hardy and holds the test of time. So I'm just going to put about 5 pieces of solder along the bottom of the piece. Okay. Close that up so you don't spill it. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat the base first and kind of let the flux that is part water, I'm going to let some of the bubbles kind of bubble away because when it does start to bubble, your pieces of solder can jump around, which is fine, but I'm just trying to make my life a little bit easier. So, the torch. And you want to go hot and fast. So let this bubble a little bit, warm it up. You can kind of see the bubbling now. Okay, then I'm going to place the second piece carefully on top, and I can always adjust the position with my pick. I made the bottom layer a little bit larger to give myself some leeway in case we need to, I can just file off the excess layer. Back in with the heat. And hot and fast. The solder should flow right around the temperature of annealing, and you should see the pieces kind of sandwiched together. And solder flows to the hottest points on your piece. So we want to keep even heating along the whole thing. And there we go. Just kind of smushed a little bit. Got a couple pieces that aren't flowing yet, so I'm going to keep going. I'm looking in between them to see if there's any space in between the layers, and there is still space, so I'm going to keep heating. Quench. See if that was successful. I'm going to switch out. I've quenched, but I'm going to switch out for copper because you cannot put steel in a pickling solution. Well, we'll let that clean off for a few minutes. So it's sufficiently clean from in the pickle. I'm going to go ahead and remove it with my copper tongs. Rinse some baking soda, and now we are soldered, and I'm going to move to the sink to scrub. I'm going to texture the pendant, and 17 is my favorite hammer. I'm going to make some long hammer dent lines in it to give it a little bit of texture. You can use whatever hammer head you want for whatever desired effect you want in your metal. I prefer this one. Again, always watch your fingers. And I'm not trying to hammer super hard. I'm just wanting to give it some texture. This is loud. As much or as little as you want. I'm pretty pleased with that. Move some over here. Okay. So here is the finished product with the two different types of patina on it. So the first step that you would do is use liver of sulfur patina on the entire piece. So you just put that in a Tupperware, drop it in, and let it sit until it's as dark as you want it. Then I would remove it and use my rotary tool and my little finishing bits to remove what patina I don't want on the piece, which I want green on the back layer, so I would remove all of that dark patina. You can kind of see it on the back, kind of like filing and sanding. And then you go in with Green Jack's patina and a little paintbrush, and it's a bit of an arduous waiting process, but it's worth it in the end, I think. And you just paint on layers of the patina until you get your desired effect. Okay, and so what patina is for small metals and jewelers is, say you have a watering can that you leave outside and over time it gets that kind of rusty green turquoise color on it. This is that, just a lot faster. So it's aging the metal and giving it that like aged look, which I'm a big fan of. Usually that would take years, but so we use these types of, there's also other colors of patina as well that you can do, basically kind of like paint the metal. And then I use a polyurethane to coat, to spray over the top of my finished pieces to just even prolong the patina's life on them. And then you'd attach your chain to whatever length you want and boom, you have a necklace. Okay, so here is our finished piece, and we've attached the chain and the lobster clasp, and it is ready to wear. And thank you so much for watching. Please check out our online classes, and hopefully in the future we can all be on campus together and see each other's faces. Bye.